Hello and welcome to ucremedia.com. My name is Sergey, and today I'll be showing you how to make this potato chip bag animation inside Cinema 4D and After Effects. It won't be the exact same animation, but I'll basically walk through the steps that I went through to create something like this. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here we are inside Cinema 4D, and it's going to be kind of a long tutorial, so I'll try to be quick, so I won't be explaining things as much as I normally would. So please try to keep up. If you have to, pause the video and go back and rewatch or whatnot. But anyway, let's bring a cube into our scene, and on the y-axis, let's bring that up to 300, and on z down to 1. So right now we're modeling a basic shape of our potato chip bag. So we'll also insert a segment into Y and X, so we have a little cross going. But let me go to display and pick lines so we can see lines. Okay, so now we have a basic shape. I'm gonna hit C on the keyboard, or this button, to make it editable, and then I'm going to go into face mode and select these top two faces, and by holding Control and click and drag on Y axis and hold Shift to snap 10 increments. So 10 centimeters here, that's going to be good. So we extruded by 10 centimeters, and we'll do the same thing at the bottom over here. Hold Control, Shift to snap, and that's good. Alright, so we have a basic shape here. Basically, this is where the bag will be sealed, and it's flat right now, so we'll be modeling it. But before we go any further, before we insert any more loops and cuts and vertices, let's create a texture, and we'll apply it right now while our shape is still a basic shape. So I'm going to right click here to make a texture, and then over here on the color, I'm going to load an image. I already have a potato chip bag image that I did not create. I found this on the website, and so I'll be sure to post a link down below for anyone who wants it. But you can create your own in Photoshop, or you can actually get a potato chip bag and open it up and scan it. And so, but anyway, whatever you want to do, that's your choice. But I'm going to use this, and then I'll probably do reflection. Let's do for now. And I'll do like 25 for right now, and then I'll adjust it. So that's good for right now. This will do. And what I will do is apply it to our mesh. And as you can see, that it's messed up looking. So let's name this bag, by the way. So what I'll do next, I'm gonna have to go into UV edit. And now we have a basic form. So these are the controls we'll be using. So if you go to face, you can tell if you select this face and that face and this face that they're all overlapping. So we need to unwrap this whole mesh in here. So to do that, let's Control Shift A to select everything. Cinema 4D has this cool feature called projection, and you can literally unwrap it inside here by hitting these already preset, basically pre-made stuff. So, and I know that this box one works perfect for what we're trying to achieve. So it does everything exactly how I want it to be. It doesn't look right here, but we can go back to our startup user, and we can go into this texture right here and adjust things. UV, by the way, it stands for XY. So if you go on X-axis, and you can, let's go over here actually, you can adjust it however you want to. You can hold down Alt and you can be more precise. So I'm just trying to center these. Okay, and I'm going to do the same for Y. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can always adjust later. So for me, this is good enough. It looks pretty good. So yeah, by the way, let me go back to UV edit, and I want to see my grid. There you go. Alright, so this is pretty good. Now if I apply a hypernerb, you can tell that it looks so messed up, and we'll fix that. We'll insert some loops, but let me name this potato chip bag. Okay, and what we'll do next, actually I don't like texture on it while I'm working, so I'm gonna have to insert a tag called display, and inside here I'm going to select use texture and then just select this. So basically I can see what I'm basically the lines are not blending in with the image, so that's good. So I'm gonna hide this hypernerve, and I'll go into a front view, and I'm gonna select, if you notice it rounds here a lot, so I'm gonna select, I'm gonna insert a few loops here. So if you click K, or use K on your keyboard and go down to loop, we can do loop cut here, here, and here, so it'll round up. And I want it to be like a sharp edge here as well for the sealed area. It'll make sense as we go. So right here, and also up top in the same places. So right there and right there. So now if we go back to here and turn our hypernerve back on, you can tell that it looks more like a bag now. The sealed area is right there, but it's like a flat bag. So now we're gonna have to model it. And to do that, we'll go into point mode, and I'm gonna select a select tool here, and then I'm gonna make sure only select visible elements is checked off. So I'll select the front two vertices, or the middle ones, and then I'll go to scale, and if you hold shift and drag on the Z-axis, I think, you can start molding it, and you can tell when you turn this on, you can tell that we're starting to model our bag. So that's good. And if you hit space, it goes back to last tool you used. So that's a nice feature. I'm going to turn hypernerve off for just right now, and you can go into different views to select whatever vertex you want to select. So be sure to use that. You're not married to perspective view, so keep that in mind. It definitely helps, especially like for stuff like here or here. When you're modeling it, you can go, make it look more like a bag, especially with the hypernerve. You can tell what it looks like. That might be too fat looking, but you can always adjust that stuff. So now you have like a basic form, and then also keep in mind when the edges are close together, like they're here, when the vertices are close together or lines close together, they create a sharp looking line. So when you spread them apart, like in this case, let me select this, go back to the select tool. See how they're close together, so when you separate them or spread them apart, the edges get smoother, especially when you have hypernerve. See, when you get closer it's sharp, but then when you spread them it's more smooth. So, and that's the look we're kind of looking for. You can move it around, so definitely looks more like a potato chip bag, and you can add more loops, but try to keep it to down to a minimum. So I'm gonna insert 2 more loops here. So let me turn this off. I hope you're keeping up with this. I know I'm going kind of fast, so I'm gonna do K again and select loop, and then if you go to snapping options, I'm gonna select 3D and point and midpoint, so it's gonna snap for me at midpoints. There you go, that was easy. And now I can go back to selection tool and select these and go back to scale, and now I can shape it a little bit more. So you can tell, shape it just slightly more so it's a little more defined. And it's good to have side view, front view, and all that, because you can kind of see that you want to have nice smooth line going here. So like I'll go back to here, select these, and then go back to scale and then bring them closer together. Maybe same thing for this. And please, you can spend as much time as you want. The sky is the limit on this stuff, but don't kill too much time. Go spend time with the family sometimes. You can get carried away here easily. So basically I have a basic form of a potato chip bag, and it doesn't look too bad. It's a little too fluffy for me. Oops. I'm gonna bring it in some. Okay. So that's not too bad. This is a first attempt to it, or we're definitely going to keep improving this. But once we have our initial pose, or whatever you want to call it, like initial bag set up, now we can go into a pose under character pose morph. Basically how it works, we're going to animate points. You can animate other stuff, but all we're going to do is points. And pose 1 is closed bag, and then we're going to open up a new pose, and we can manipulate it, and it will still keep the new one. So it'll make sense as we go. So let's go to second pose, and now we're going to model an open bag pose. But before we do that, let's erase some faces up here up top so that we can open the bag. So I'm just going to select these and then hit delete. Okay. So and now keep in mind we're in edit mode, and we're on pose 1. We're done with pose 0. So now we're going to pose 1, and I'm going to go to selection. Let's go to vertice. Okay, selection tool, select all these vertices, and I'm going to open the bag up the same way we've been shaping our bag, basically the same method. And I'm going to go into this view, bring it in some, bring this in, basically have a nice smooth line going. Maybe not so much on here. It's not okay. So let's spread these some, and you can also like look at this view or this view. Probably this view would be better because you can see the line. Definitely take advantage of different views. I think that should help big time. See, like these are close together, so they create a sharp line, which we do not want. Okay, that's good. Like I said, you can spend a whole day making it perfect. I don't have a whole day, so I'm just playing around here. Let me spread these a little bit. So now if you turn the hypernerve back on, you can tell it looks like an open bag. I mean, doesn't look bad. And cool with pose morph, if you switch to animate mode, you can literally animate open and close, you know. So we're halfway there. Let's go back to edit mode, and okay, we have the basic shape. And obviously when you let's turn our texture back on, you can tell that doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good. And by the way, when you apply this texture, you can tell that it copies to the inside. And to fix that, let's go to this texture, and instead of both, which is sides, just select front, and that fixes it. So before we go any further, let's bring this object up so it sits on this base. Okay. I'm sorry, I have a phone call. Okay. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, so next what we will do, we have everything set up. Let's keep working on our model a little bit and make it more realistic. What other things we can do? The beautiful thing about pose morph is you can go back and tweak things. So for instance, like here, we need to make this mesh a little bit more organic, and to do that we can just, because it looks too symmetrical, we can pull this up a little bit, maybe scale this a little bit, you know, make it less symmetrical, kind of, or not necessarily symmetrical. By the way, turn the snap feature off, and just more organic look. That's what I'm looking for. You can probably go here at the bottom, select this, and hit space to go to scale, and give it a little more room at the bottom over here, because usually chips are stored here at the bottom, so give more definition there. Probably the same here. less at the top. Like I said, the sky is the limit. You can spend as much time as you want, so I'm okay with this for right now for closed bag. But let's go to open bag and do the same thing, because right now it looks too good and it's not acceptable. So maybe play with this, maybe bring this down some. So probably do the same at the bottom, so it's got a little some room here. Okay, that's good. Another thing you can do, because if you render this, you can tell it just doesn't look as good. And one second, let me fix something. Okay, now, so yeah, when you render this, you can tell it looks very smooth and just doesn't look natural. So you can also play around with like maybe bump map and bring like a, I don't know, noise maybe. Go into noise, let's bring that up to like 500. Not so black, let's go about here. Yeah, whatever works for you here. So subjective. That's good enough. Yeah, I just don't like when things look too natural, but that, you know, that might be the look you're going for. So, but slight organic look doesn't hurt. So, it's okay. All right. Well, what next I want to do is a let's create a new texture for the inside, and usually it's like a grayish look. So let's go to Fresnel, maybe to like, yeah, whites and off-white, something like that. I know it's very reflective, probably like 5% blur. Let's do Fresnel, maybe like 40 or something. Totally change probably later on, but that's basically it for right now. That's good for right now. And now we can apply that to the same bag. Oops. And instead of both, let's do back. So you can't tell the difference once you render, but you can tell it's applied. So what else we can do to this to improve it? You can go and make it more organic by selecting vertices and, you know, offsetting some and all that, but do it at your own time, your own convenience. But I'm going to move on. I'll start I guess rigging at this point. I'm gonna turn the texture off right now. Okay, and I'll bring in a end side and XZ axis. I'm gonna rotate that. Oops. 90 degrees, and I'll make it C, hit C on the keyboard to make it editable. Okay, let's go top view. I'm gonna bring this up. Bring this up here, and then scale it some. That's good. Basically, it's going to be the control. Wait a minute, I'll probably need to see the texture. 1 second. Okay, that's the front. Okay, and I'm going to name this bag control, and I'll drop everything underneath there. So I also want to probably color it. Probably blue, since we already have yellow, it will stand out. Okay, So yeah, basically instead of selecting the bag, we'll be animating this control, and we'll create more data under it and stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's basically, we'll start everything with this control, and inside here, well, let's do, one second, yeah, let's do this. Now we have pose morph, and in order to animate this, yeah, this one has to be 0 and this one has to be 100, or vice versa. So to do that, we'll have to create like an expressor tag. And what I'm saying probably doesn't make much sense, but it will here in a second. So we'll bring in a control bag here, and then let's go to, oh, we haven't opened up yet. Okay, we'll also go to user data and add a new user, and here we'll label it open, close, and it will be, limitations probably be 100%. Well, let's do it 0 to 100. So that's all I need, and make sure it's %, which it is, %, and that's good. So now under user data we have like a slider, I guess that's what it'd be called, that goes from 0 to 100. So somehow we'll link up this, those two features here into one here. So to do that, we'll bring a pose morph, control double click here to extend it, and then let's bring a strength 0 and strength 1, and control click, double click, and okay, that's good. And next we'll bring in, one second, we'll bring in range mapper, and we're gonna go out of user data open, and we'll connect through range mapper these two into one. So let's see if this will make sense for you. So let's go to range mapper, make sure that input range is % and it's going into %. So that's important, make sure you set that up. And it's gonna go from input lower 0, input upper 100, and it's gonna go input lower 0 and input lower 100. So we'll go into 1, and then control click and drag, and it duplicates another one, and we'll just inverse this, basically have 100 to 0, and basically these two will be connected. So for instance, if you go into control, it's already connected, but the problem with that, I want 0 to be closed. So all you have to do is just make sure you change your numbers from 0 to 100 on both, and here it is. You basically control your bag here with one little button or slider. And once you did that, you can still go back into pose morph, and if you go into edit mode, you can still edit your mesh. In fact, I do want to edit a little bit. I want to let me turn this off. I want to make this open just slightly wider. Let me cancel this, so we're done with that. Okay. So let's see what it looks like. Yeah, that's what I want. Alright, so we have that set up. So basically under our control, we have under user data open close, and all it does, it opens and closes. Hold on, let's go back to, oh, I know the problem. We're in edit mode here, so be sure you switch to animate, okay? And so here's our little function. Cool, right? Alright, next what we'll do, we'll put some bones in here and rig the bag a little bit. We can probably turn the texture back on. So in the front view, I'm going to enable snapping, and inside here I'm going to do construction, grid, I don't want that stuff. Okay, and then I'm going to character. Let's do joint control. If you control click and drag, it snaps first joint, then second bone, and so forth. So you just insert however many bones you would like. If you want a little too far, you can always select the root and scale it some. Okay, and I'm going to select all of them, and under coordinates, let's freeze all. Freeze all, and that way everything's zeroed down. So our bones, if you notice, if you go to here and select like second into the last joint, you can tell that you can go side to side, front to back. You can already tell that this will work. And notice I'm not selecting the first because the first does it a little too much for me. I don't want to do that. I want the base to be stationary. So somehow we're going to link these up into like a one slider. But anyway, let's do that right now. What I'm going to do next is switch my views. Let's go here and create a new user data, add a new user, and in here we're going to create side to side. Oops. And be sure it's degree, and we don't need any limitations, so you can do copy and paste to do front to back, copy and paste for twist, and that's all we need for right now, really. Alright, and now we're gonna link them up with these, like side to front to back. So if we go to our control and user and like front to back, let's right click animation and set driver. It's going to be driving everything, so you're the driver, and then we're going to select the bones we want to be affected, and then go to coordinates, and if we're doing front to back, so we're going to say, alright, this front to back thing on all of the bones, you're going to be absolutely driven. So absolute is the exact number, relative is just gonna, you know, it's gonna be like you don't have to have the exact 0 to 360 or whatever. So absolute is gonna do exactly the same what you have in the control. I'm not sure if that's making sense, but anyway, so that's good. We'll select these. So if you go to front to back over here, front to back or user data, you can tell that it's already linked up. So that's good. By the way, before we go any further, let's select the bones and the mesh. And if you go to character and command bind, it will bind. It will basically bind the mesh to the bones. So if you go to front to back, you can tell that it's working. So next, we'll select this right here, side to side, and then right click animation, set driver. Now this one's going to be side to side and will be our driver, and then select the bones you want to be affected. And so side to side is this one right here, so we're going to select it, right click and say you're going to be driven in absolute. Okay, and the same thing, we're going to go back to control, double check, make sure side to side works, which it does. Awesome. So now we're going to do twist. So right click here, animation, set driver, and select the bones you want to be affected, and then twist is this feature right here. So we'll right click here, animation, and set driven, absolute. So that's it for rigging, really. So if you go to user data, now we have open, close, side to side. We have front and back, and twist. So that's cool. Another thing we can do to this, probably, yeah, let's add a, where's that feature? 1 second. Yeah, squash and stretch. So we'll add that to the scene. Make sure to add it underneath the bag. And the way this works, let's go to this view. You have to kind of set, where's it at? Top. Be sure the top is at the top. If you notice, it's this feature right here, it's moving. Be sure it's at your top, and the bottom is at your bottom. Okay, so that's all you need really. And now you can go into these features and, you know, factor, you know, you can play with expand. Well, it only matters when you have a factor, so now you can expand and stuff. So let's link these up into our control, because I don't want to be going into squash, stretch, and play here. I want to do everything in this control. So it definitely makes your life easier when you do it that way. So let's do user data, manage, and one second, let me do this. Okay. And then here, user data, manage. So here we'll add another one. And this one, as you can tell, is just it is a percent, so make sure it's a percent. We don't need any limitations on that, so we'll do squash and stretch. Whoops. Squash and stretch, and its factor. So that's one. Let's copy that and paste, and then this one is expand. Okay, that's cool. And our default value, let's keep it 100 because it's already 100 there. All right, cool. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna say, all right, factor, you're gonna be our driver, and then we'll go into squash and stretch and select the factor and animation and driven absolute. Okay, and we'll do the same thing here. Right click, driver, and then the same here on expand, driven absolute. Okay, and so now if you were to go to control, and you can tell that you can control squash and stretch and expand, so that's cool. You can keep it up to 100. All right, so we have those features made, and next what we can do, what else can we do to this? We can insert a light. Yeah, let's do this. By the way, I'm just going here on the fly, so I'm sorry if I'm not making any sense. So let's do a spotlight. Let's rotate it 90 degrees so it's looking up. And this slide basically is gonna, when the bag opens up, it's gonna be lit up. So let's move that up here. By the way, turn this feature off. Okay. And let's go into the light setting. We'll go to volumetric. Let me open this up. So when you render this, you can tell the light is working. So let's play with this light just a little bit. Detail, let's do cone like this. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's the look I'm looking for. So that's pretty cool. But the problem with this, actually, let's put it in our bag. I want it to be always gone with my bag. So what I want to do is when the bag is closed, I want the light to be the light intensity to be 0. And so basically, quick fix would be this: bringing this light. I'm gonna name it bag light. Okay. So basically, we'll tell. Okay, one second. How to? Okay, yeah. Intensity. It's under. Where the heck is it? One second. General. Okay. So general intensity, and we'll tell it to go straight to here, because it's actually going from 0 to 100 already %, so it's going to be quick fix. So now notice if I close the bag, the light's going to be tiny, but when I open it, it's going to be bright. So it really fixes it. It's cool to use expressive and stuff like that, because you do want to avoid as many keyframes as you can. I don't know about you, but I do like to avoid. I hate keyframes. I hate when there's too many of them. So definitely, if you can, do a lot of the damage here in Espresso and avoid any other hassle you might come across. But anyway, that's what we have so far. As you can tell, when you render it, you can't see anything because now we need to insert more lights. But I'm not going to use any global illumination, any of that, because it's going to take more time to render, and I'm at home here. My computer is not as powerful, so I'll just have to light it myself. And to do that, I will just do basic lighting. So I'll do this, probably do array. Yeah, I'm sorry. Whoops. All right, do that. Let's spread them out some. You can tell it's a little too bright. So I'm going to bring the intensity to about 50 maybe. I just want it to be kind of lit. I'm still going to use a headlight, spotlight here. Actually, let me use the target spotlights. Okay. Let's go to details. I'm sorry if this is boring for you, but I'm trying to establish the look I'm going for. So this is not too bad. We can also bring a sky, and let's see what they have here in presets. So if you go to presets, maybe prime, materials, HDRIs, see what they have what we can use. Something like this maybe. Okay, let's go back here, and in the sky, let's apply that to the sky with a little tag, compositing tag, and here we'll say not to be seen by camera, but it will. Well, actually, let's see. We do want the reflections and stuff. I really don't care about shadowing and stuff. Transparency, that's good. So I just want basically the reflections to see. Yeah, so because we do have a reflective material, and I might go into our texture and bring it up to about maybe 30, and put some blur, maybe like 8% blur. So something like that won't hurt. The reflection does help make it more realistic, but obviously, you know, I'm not using HDRI, you know, or any of that, or you know, to light the scene. So we're just gonna do the old school. All right, so we have the basic form here. We have the controls. Make sure they're all working. Yeah, we have squash and stretch. So basically we are set to animate. But anyway, I think I'm going to pause this tutorial here and pick it up from here in our next part. Next part, we'll do potato chips, we'll do some animation, and call it done. Alright, well, thanks guys for watching this tutorial. I'll pick it up from here in my next tutorial, so be sure to watch that. Thanks so much. Take care.